328. Freedom versus Security. Chalcedon Report number 110, October 1974. One reason why man has rarely been free in his long history is his fear and hatred of freedom. Over and over again, men have paid lip service to freedom, while constructing instead social orders which allowed no room for freedom. Historically, one of the major functions of the state has been to protect man and society from the dangers of freedom. In the ancient world, stateless man was regarded as worse off than the dead. Egyptians, Sumerians, Babylonians, and others regarded the state as a true life of man. The Greeks, who despite modern mythology had no love of freedom, defined man as a political animal. Man could not be truly man apart from the state. Plato's Republic is a blueprint for totalitarian communism, and Aristotle's Politics saw man as a property of the state. Aristotle espoused state control of education because the citizen should be moulded to suit the form of government under which he lives. Moreover, neither must be supposed that any one of the citizens belongs to himself, for they all belong to the state, and are each of them a part of the state. Politics, Book 8, Chapter 1. He held also that the state is by nature clearly prior to the family and to the individual, since the whole is of necessity prior to the parts. Book 1, Chapter 2. For most of history, this pagan view of the state has governed men. Men have found freedom to be a threat, and they have readily turned over their lives to the claims of the state. But this is not all. Salvation has been defined in terms of the state, and the state seen as man's saviour. For the Romans, salvation was security under Caesar. According to the archaeologist Sir William M. Ramsay, the paternal government was, quote, salvation, end quote, for those who live on imperial estates. Ramsay concluded, the salvation of Jesus and Paul was freedom. The salvation of the imperial system was serfdom. Sir W. M. Ramsay, The Bearing of Recent Discovery on the Trustworthiness of the New Testament, London, England, Potter and Stoughton, 1920, pages 197 and 198. This faith in salvation by the state was basic to the Renaissance and is essential to an understanding of modern man. Except for the partial but profound counter-movement of early American developments, especially between 1750 and 1850, the basic belief of modern man is that the good life and salvation can only be attained by means of the state. This means increasing state powers, because in order to save man, the state must be stronger. Thus, the more serious man's plight, the more the state must increase its power in order to save men. The biblical doctrine of salvation holds that because the triune God is the sovereign and omnipotent Lord, salvation is possible. Only a sovereign can save, because he alone determines all things, and he alone cannot be overthrown in all his ways. Man's salvation is only assured where his Saviour is omnipotent, and his salvation cannot be annulled or overruled by any other force. Man, in relation to God, cannot have a primary freedom. Man has only a secondary freedom, the freedom of a creature, to be what God has ordained him to be. Quite logically, the salvation of the state mimics this pattern. In order to give man an assured salvation, one which cannot be set aside, the state must set aside man's freedom and work towards its own omnipotence. The state must be sovereign, and it must be beyond challenge. Man must be simply what the state ordains him to be, and nothing more. For the state to plan or predestinate man's salvation requires totalitarian powers for the state, and this the state constantly aspires to gain. In this quest, the state has the active support of modern man. Having turned away from the triune God, he looks religiously to the modern state for salvation, for womb-to-tomb security, and for the fatherhood he once attributed to God. Thus, although at times the modern state has gained its powers by legal usurpation, it has generally been with the active or passive consent of the people. Man, said Jesus Christ, is, by virtue of the fall, a slave to sin. and therefore partial to slavery, until he makes man free by his grace. John chapter 8, verses 33 to 36. Modern man has still enough of the trappings of his religious and cultural past so that he feels that lip service must be paid to freedom. He honours it at every turn, and every day works to diminish it. The one assured fact today about any convening legislative body is that it sits, not to increase man's freedom, but to limit it. Freedom to slaves is a dangerous thing, and, in the heart of his being, modern man is a slave. He has converted church, state, and school into schools for slavery. He has waged war against the threat of freedom at every turn in order to assure the free flow of stated salvation. Men who are by nature slaves will only tolerate slavery, and, as a result, freedom is under fire and on the wane. The battleground is not the state is the echo chamber, reflecting man's real desires. The problem is in the minds and hearts of men. If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. John chapter 8, verse 36. There is no other way.